guess we probably shouldn't clip this on while I've got the microphone on. Ugh, it is only Monday. It's only Monday, friends. Only Monday. Fucking sick. Great. Okay. Alright, time to go. No fan. Am I ready? Am I ready? We'll see. Lucky for me, I just didn't know that thought my microphone was off and it wasn't, and so now I'm just confused again.
All the boys want a piece of my dick. I make them eat it, yeah, I make them my bitch. I make them eat it. Pussy Michael Jackson beat it. But this pussy got a peanut, don't call Peter. Yeah, baby, get rich. It's me with that shit. I'm trying to get boys, ladies, bad bitches, and dykes. Yeah, the redneck, thick butt sluts, my type. Yeah, the big breasts, big dick dolls, my kind. Yeah, they tell me how to fight, so I'm gonna fight for their rights. Fuck Trump, fuck ICE, free Palestine. I'ma say
Probably like fantastic, just stellar footage we're getting here right now. Okay, well, anyways. Kid is hot tonight. Oh, so hot tonight. But where will it be tomorrow? Hello, Internet. If this is your first time joining, my name is Audrey, and this is the Fire and Fiber podcast, where I talk about knitting, thrifting, all things social justice, mental health, apparently menopause recently, kind of whatever I feel like. I am coming to you today from my home on the Haldimand Tract in what is now known as southwestern Ontario. If you're not aware, the Haldimand Tract was an agreement between the Six Nations of the Grand River and the Canadian government, or soon-to-be Canadian government, to guarantee lands for 6 miles on either side of the Grand River to the Six Nations of the Grand River. Like every other treaty in Canadian history, this promise has never been fulfilled by the government. And although I'm not like a business person, I don't know any other time you could default on a contract for 150 years and not get sued or put out of business. But anyways, so this is a podcast where I normally talk about my works in progress, acquisitions, thrifting, future plans, stuff like that. But today I'm trying something different. As you can see, my setup is a little bit different if you've watched the podcast before. I am privileged that this is the second time I've recorded this episode. My endless tech problems plagued me again, and I lost about, I think it was 46 minutes of footage that I had recorded for this. So this is my second time through, but that's okay. I'm trying to look at it as an opportunity to do it again, but better. However, this is wisdom I've only arrived at after having a massive menopause fueled meltdown last night about that, amongst other things. But anyways, I wanted to do a knit and chat video for a couple reasons. So the topic that I'm going to talk about today is one that I've been planning for quite a while. I have a list going in my phone of potential ideas and things I'm sort of looking into or teasing out a little bit more. But it was one that I wanted to make sure I did well, and I had the opportunity to finally sit down and do it. Like I said, I recorded all this yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? Anyways, life happened. My computer deleted it. And so frustrating. As you can see, I'm sitting, I'm knitting and chatting. It's a bit of a different setup in that I am not posed from the waist up. I'm not like I'm trying to be in my natural element, I guess you could say, because today I'm going to talk about 4 designers and 1 Canadian store who are tackling the anti-fat tax really, really well in the Canadian yarn fiber industry. I think it's important to name my privilege, and so I carry a lot of privilege within myself. I am white passing, although I identify as Indigenous. I'm white passing, light haired. That has afforded me so much privilege in my life and continues to. And that's not a privilege that my dark-skinned Native brothers and sisters experience. So I have to name that. I also want to name my privilege as a fat person in that I am like a small fat. I'm about a size 18. I wear like a 1 to 2X. And so body size is a spectrum, and being plus size is also a spectrum. So I definitely sit on the lower end of being a plus size person, as opposed to someone who maybe wears like a 22, 24, 20, like a bigger body. So even within the spectrum of being plus size or being fat, there is still sort of inequity when it comes to smaller fat versus larger fat. So I wanted to name that right now. I am definitely someone who lives and benefits from that privilege of being a smaller fat, or like a mid-size or a lower end of the plus size, whatever. Even the way my body's built, I'm pretty evenly distributed. I'm 5'7", which is tall for a woman. So my body has, like where I carry my weight and where I carry my fat is a privilege as well. Like I it's distributed in a certain way that I definitely recognize as more appealing to society, or like society's like really fucked up version of what a woman should look like, more than other people who are also plus size or heavier. But anyways, digression done. Back to the main content. Even though I've had this idea, like I said, for quite a while, I started finalizing it over the weekend and earlier this week, and I realized I was having a physical, visceral reaction to this subject, because as someone who grew up in a bigger body, I've worked really hard on addressing a lot of the trauma that I grew up with around being in a bigger body and all of this sort of like anti-fat bias that the world at large has. It's so interesting how like it doesn't seem to matter how much work I think any of us do. I mean, this is obviously trauma. It doesn't seem to matter how much work we all do. Every so often, despite all of the work that I've done, all the therapy, all of the affirmations, all of the things, right? Every once in a while, something happens or I'm caught off guard and I am immediately transported back in time to those really traumatic moments. And like logically I know I'm not there, but it's so fascinating to me how I just like whoop instantly, and then my body has a physical reaction. Like I physically feel like I'm unwell, I get really anxious, I get really nervous. I recorded this episode and I was happy with it, and then technology did the technology thing, and so I decided to re-record it. And instead of you'll see from the earlier footage, I had like a nice shirt on and different shorts. I was like, I want to make myself like, I didn't really want to worry today about prepping. I didn't put on makeup. I didn't, I'm wearing clothing that I feel comfortable in, that I feel safe in, and that is also I wouldn't normally wear on camera because I've got a belly, thought, like whatever. And, I'm not sitting up super straight. I don't have great posture right now, but I wanted this to be comfortable and authentic, because when I think about body and body image and fashion and all those sort of things that directly impact my life and my knitting, as well as my parenting. I am parenting 2 small kids, one of whom identifies as a girl. But I think, and again, body issues and anti-fat bias affect all people, not just girls, but that's a story for another day. I wanted it to be authentic. I wanted to come to you as I am normally, not as I am when I sit down to film, where I've spent too much time focusing on what I look like and trying to hide the features that maybe I don't think are ones that I want on the internet. I was put on to, I think it was Knitted by Whitney, put me onto an Instagram account called the Size Inclusive Collective. And from there, I actually was able to, there's tons of resources on there. I wanted to be authentic. I'm feeling really frustrated with myself in a lot of areas of my life right now. I am going through menopause following a hysterectomy. I am neurodivergent, and I've been in a new job for about 7 months. My cognitive load is really heavy, and I'm not sure if it's that it's just so incredibly heavy, or that my mental capabilities are diminished lately because I have all of these things going on that absolutely impact that and absolutely would make sense. But either way, I'm so frustrated with myself because I'm not learning things easily. Things are not coming easily to me as they have previously. I don't know if this is, being in the second half of my 30s and trying to learn new skills and things like that. And my brain's just naturally moving slower because I'm a mom and I have 4,000 tabs open in my brain. But I've really had to I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, I'm trying to tell myself that whatever footage I lost yesterday wasn't it. And this is it. This is where we're gonna have the gold. This is the gem. This is what I'm filming today is gonna be fantastic. So I've been really struggling with making decisions, thinking clearly, completing tasks. I had a giant meltdown about, like I said, the lost footage and a whole bunch of other things last night, and just sobbed to my husband. I was so angry, and then I just, the floodgates let out, and I was just so angry that things just aren't coming easily. Not one thing seems to go easily or smoothly lately, and that's life. I need to deal with it. Having said that, when I thought about what I wanted to be knitting on camera today, I had been working on a different project yesterday, which I love. It's the striation shawl from Amber O'Brien, but I wanted to work on something that's happy. So this is not that the other project isn't happy, but it's been coming along. This is the outline shawl from Hedgehog Fibers. It's a free pattern, and I've been calling it my palette cleanser because it's something that I've been using it's just mindless. It's a 2-row repeat. I've been using minis and trying to go through my stash, and I just wanted something that is just so happy, so dopamine heavy, and this really is. So that's why I'm working on this today instead of the project I was working on yesterday, because I thought, okay, I want to redo this and redo it right, or redo it in a way that feels more authentic and valuable to me. So anyways, that is what I'm working on today. I don't know how long I'm going to make this. I think it's, dealer's choice. I don't know if I can, let's see if I can try it on without knocking my microphone. Yeah, I'd probably make it about twice as long as this because I want to be able to wrap it around. Exciting news. We actually just booked a couple days ago. We're going to the UK in November, beginning of December. We are going on, so my partner and I are celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary in November. We've been together for 11 years this past August, and it's 10 years that we've been married. So we're going to, the plan is England, Ireland, Scotland. We're going to do London, and then probably Scotland, and then Ireland to go see my sister who lives there right now. So maybe I can have this finished in time for when we're there and it's cold and blustery and probably overcast and rainy and haunted and spooky looking, but also sparkly and Christmassy. Anyways, I just needed something to make me happy, especially with how freaking frustrated I was with myself yesterday. Obviously the technology issue, I don't think the technology thing was probably my fault. But as a true perfectionist, I really, really love to blame myself for things that are likely out of my control and decide that they are a reflection of who I am as a person.
They're not.
So that's why I'm working on this today. When I was looking at the size inclusive collective list, there were quite a lot of dyers that were either based out of the States or Europe. But today I'm only going to be covering Canadian dyers. Maybe if this feels good, I'll do it again in the future. Either American or European or, I don't know, international dyers. But for now, I'm just going to take it easy on myself, especially after losing all that footage and crying as much as I did yesterday. I'm also going away on a work trip tomorrow with a coworker, so we're going to be driving quite a while and then staying overnight, doing our conference, and then driving home that day. So I'm trying to tie up some loose ends with my work and house and parenting before I'm out for basically almost 3 days. So today feels very much like a rest and reset, especially after yesterday was National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and as an Indigenous person, that is obviously a day that's really heavy and complicated for me. So today we're going to be working on being gentle with ourselves while we talk about dyers that are doing the Lord's work with the anti-fat tax discounts. I even wrote notes this time. Are you proud of me? The first dyer who is addressing anti-fat bias with the anti-fat tax discount is Florange Apparel. So Madison is a dyer based in Sarnia. That's actually where I'm going to be going for my conference for the next 2 days. Sarnia, Ontario, which is kind of, on the very, very southern tip. I think it's near Detroit. Owner Madison, who's based out of Sarnia, dyes using Canadian supplies and finds inspiration from nature, nostalgia, and a full spectrum of human emotion. So not only does she make gorgeous yarns. She donates 5% of the total sales of her core collection to the Canadian Mental Health Association, or CMHA. I also believe that everyone deserves to have a beautiful, well-fitting garment. To support makers creating size-inclusive projects, I offer a discount when purchasing extra skeins to accommodate larger sizes. For every 5 skein purchase, get the 6 skein 50% off with the code B5G50. I'm going to put these codes on the screen and they'll also be in the description, by the way. For every 8 skeins purchase, get the 9th skein free with the code B8G1, because no one should feel priced out of crafting something that makes them feel amazing. That, I think, is so beautiful. The collection that she's done recently, named after different human emotions, is also really, really lovely and decadent. I first started using Madison's yarn when I knit my spring sorrel, which is actually back here. I have to fix like my yarn overs on the very bottom of the little stems are kind of open and gaping, so I'm going to stitch them up. But again, that's where it's living right now, because it's definitely not been sweater weather here in southwestern Ontario yet. Climate change really sucks. So I first fell in love with her yarns with this DK. Let's see if I can grab it. With this chartreuse colored DK. Oh, it's so freaking soft. I just want to sit here and squish it. I'm really excited to wear that once the cool weather comes. And I have a few of her other, I can't seem to grab it, but I have more of her mini skeins as well. Also, this is a new addition. I don't love the color, but I love the purpose. So I found this accidentally at Canadian Tire. I was going for something else, and it's a closet organizer like other ones I've used previously, but it's got pockets that have this little clear plastic window. So this is where all my current whips are living, so that I can visually see what I have on the go and hopefully resist the ADHD impulse to cast on a new project, which is not working, but it's a good reminder. And at least I know, like, if I want to look for my projects, I know where they are. I'm not an organized person. This is not a skill that comes naturally to me. So this has actually been helping me tremendously. And I think it was probably $16.99. Not sponsored by Canadian Tire, obviously. Can you imagine? My husband would die of happiness. So the next dyer that I want to talk about is Creation Miss Couture. And again, I'm sorry I'm reading off of these. Like, I sometimes struggle when YouTubers or people making content read off of their script, but I want to ensure that I'm speaking clearly and accurately, and my memory lately and my focus are just absolute garbage. So apologies in advance. This is definitely an assistive device right now. Creation Miss Couture has been in business since 2014, initially starting out making reusable products like snack pouches and bowl covers, but paused the business after moving to Alberta in 2017. During lockdown, the owner, Catherine, fell in love with knitting and crocheting and reopened the shop in 2022, first with fiber notions, but then with her own hand-dyed yarn. So her website says, "We have added an anti-fat tax. When you have 7 skeins in your cart, you can apply anti-fat tax 10 at checkout." This was one of the dyers that was recommended to me, actually I think by Madison, as having really, really gorgeous dyed yarns. And like I said, they're based in Alberta, which, you know, if you live in Canada right now, you know that we are on a Canada Post strike again. So shipping orders has been challenging for many small business owners, myself included. The next dyer I wanted to talk about was actually one who my coworker Wendy introduced me to when I was talking about this idea of the fat tax. 246H. And, you know, like her and I were having this discussion about, you know, fat phobia and the fat tax around, you know, what a drag it is to have to buy extra yarn when you are a larger person, and how your projects are naturally going to cost you more if you're making something that is a size is larger than, you know, it's going to cost you more than someone making, say, an extra small. And so when I was talking to Wendy about fat tax, she had recommended Allison Burns yarn. She initially was like, oh, I know a dyer who does that sort of discount to combat the fat tax. Her name's Allison Burns. I have, again, her yarn somewhere in here. I ordered some the other day. Really, really, really gorgeous stuff. So Allison is a really cool dyer because not only does she offer an anti-fat tax discount, 2-tiered, by the way, to sort of address the inequity, I think, in the plus size or fat spectrum. She actually offers 2 discounts. The first one is save 10 off 5, which obviously you save 10% when you order 5 skeins. And the second one is save 15 off 8. So you save 15% off of 8 skeins. Really, really love that as well. If that wasn't fantastic enough, Allison also takes it a step further and says, in an effort to support pattern writers and pattern testers in the plus size category, 2X or larger, I would like to offer free yarn to one individual per month for pattern testing purposes. To qualify for yarn support, you must provide proof of pattern testing. Please provide the name and contact info of the designer and the name of the pattern you are testing, along with the quantity and type of yarn needed. I'll be contacting the designer to verify your testing status. This blew my mind. As someone who loves pattern testing, I thought this was such a beautiful, generous, tangible way to give back and like really, really do the work. And so that is Allison Barnes Yarn. She, I believe, is located here in Ontario. We're both names, dates, places, and I really should have written it down. Whatever. We're all just trying our best, right?
Just trying our best. 2, 3, 4, 5.
The last dyer that I wanted to talk about before I switch to our little bonus thing after is if you are a fan of the, I think it's Baker Wool Designs, the assigned pooling yarn like shawl patterns, you probably know about Feisty Fibers. They are, I believe, Toronto based. And this dyer has done some really, really gorgeous yarns recently, specifically around assigned pooling, which is, for those of you who don't know, assigned pooling, it's new to me. But assigned pooling is this technique where you knit with a yarn that has at least 1/4 of it dyed in a different color, and when you hit that color you do a different stitch, and then when you go back to the main body color you go to your previous stitch, typically like a garter or stockinette. And so it creates this really gorgeous pattern where you have these like little dollops of color interspersed in different stitches that are very visually eye-catching. Anyways, so Feisty Fibers has been doing some of those lately. I've got a few skeins of their Dahlia yarn, and I've actually got a shawl on the go here in one of my project bags. And so, but Feisty Fibers is a yarn dyer that also offers a fat tax discount. I've mentioned this dyer multiple times. I've made quite a few socks in this yarn as well. So their website states, as someone who has lived a life in a body that doesn't meet the regular size range, I know the pain and struggle. Having to hunt for clothes that fit has been fraught with lots of shame and pain, not to mention the much higher prices. I know this discount doesn't fix the problem that comes with being large in this skinny-oriented world, but it's something. So, Feisty Fibers offers a 15% discount for purchases of 5 skeins or more using the code ANTIFATTAX15. So the final business I wanted to talk about that is combating the fat tax is actually not a dyer. It is a local yarn store out in Langford, BC called the Spinnacle. And so this store is apparently like very small. I haven't been to it. It says like 160 square feet. But they are combating anti-fat bias in multiple ways. So let me tell you how. According to their website, larger sizes often require more yarn, so we offer a 15% discount when you purchase 7 or more skeins of yarn. We want projects to be accessible and affordable for everyone, regardless of size. Use the code ANTIFATTAX. Due to the size of our shop and the small dyers we stock, we are unable to carry as much yarn as we'd like to on our shelves. If you're looking for a specific quantity of yarn, we're happy to special order when possible. So that's great. And then their website goes on. Comfortable seating. We want all our visitors to feel comfortable and relaxed in our small space. We have foldable yet sturdy chairs that have a suggested weight max of 350 pounds and are typically used for knit night classes. We want you to pull up a chair and get comfy, so if alternate seating is required to accommodate you, please let us know. Size inclusive designs. We are committed to celebrating, wearing, and knitting size inclusive designs that go up to at least a 5XL. All classes feature size inclusive patterns by design. This ensures that everyone can find a cute project that not only fits well, but we can also have matchy knits and be heckin' cute. Open dialogue. We are committed to ongoing improvement and are always open to suggestions on how we can better serve our community. If there are additional ways that we can make our space more accommodating as we continue to unlearn harmful fat biases, please do not hesitate to bring them up. We know our industry has caused harm to fat folks, and we want to ensure our space is not continuing to uphold fat biases. Like, can we get one of these? So I thought that was really, really beautiful that they have taken the time to intentionally incorporate addressing anti-fat bias in their store, both in the physical nature of their store and also in the shopping options. So that again is the Spinnacle in Langford, BC. I don't know where Langford is. I could look on a map. I don't know. If you guys have been watching for a while, I think I mentioned I grew up in America, and so while I can sing the state song and probably know a bunch of the capitals in alphabetical order in my head, I don't have a great handle on Canadian geography, so forgive me for that one. And I think that's all I have. I don't want to spend a ton of time recording this again. The footage that I recorded yesterday, I got really, really deep on at one point when I was talking about, my feelings around growing up in a bigger body and the work that, like, I think a lot of traumatized folks have had to do or should be doing on healing my inner child and trying to not only remedy the feelings that I have within myself, but also not pass that on to my children, right? Like, this is, I was reflecting the other day that I think it's, while the world is a dumpster fire, everything is so fast, and I'm scared for what we're leaving our kids. I try not to, like, go down that rabbit hole too often because it gets scary really quickly. I'm also really grateful that I'm part of a generation that is not only willing to do the work on our trauma, but also talk about it. I think as a generation, probably like many generations, I think as a whole, like, not to generalize, but there is so much collective trauma with millennials. If you grew up in the 90s and the 2000s with, like, reality TV and the 90s supermodel era with, I was watching a show on Netflix about The Biggest Loser and what that show did to all of our psyches, America's Next Top Model. We grew up with, like, just a really, the 90s and the 2000s were unhinged. And so, I remember, like, when the Atkins diet came out, I remember when people started getting gastric bypass and you had all these shows on TLC, like My 600-Pound Life. Like, anti-fat bias has been drilled into my consciousness for as long as I can remember. And I don't doubt that many of my peers in my age group would say the same. But I'm happy that we are living in a time of, like, just unapologetic freedom, in that, like, there's so much body positivity, body neutrality, so many different resources and people to look to as we try to find our way, right? Like, that's really been impactful for me, learning about body neutrality, which my friend Sam German had talked to me about on a previous podcast I recorded pre-pandemic. It wasn't a video, it was just podcast. We were talking about this idea of body neutrality, which is, like, you don't hate your body, you don't go into this, like, almost toxic body positivity realm, because I do think that gets really scary too, like the toxic positivity, but just you acknowledge your body, that it is a body, and that's it. Fat, skinny, tall, short, lumpy, not lumpy, like, all bodies are good bodies. And that's something I'm really trying to impart with my kids, like, when they talk about something about someone's physical appearance, and I do my best to correct it, we reiterate that, and they kind of begrudgingly are like, I'll say, like, all bodies are, and they kind of go, good bodies. But, like, if I had that growing up, like, I think I've worked really hard my 35 years to get to a place of loving gratitude towards my body for what it can do and what it has done. I've been privileged to be pregnant 3 times, give birth twice, and nourish and raise 2 beautiful children, which is not a privilege everyone has, of course. Like, that's not a privilege everyone has who wants it. And my body continues to amaze me, and I continue to be grateful for it, even as I'm getting older and I have to work much, much, much harder to keep it from hurting or feeling like it's battling against me. I think yeah, trying to reposition myself into a place of gratitude is really important. And so that was something I noticed when I really started diving deep into the knitting fiber community and garment making and things like that. Is like there's so much pushback as well from community, from the knitting world, from the crocheting world, from the crafting world, from the sewing world, to be size inclusive, to be accepting, to you know, like not recognize that like not all bodies are, you know, fit into this box, and not all people fit into certain size boxes, and work on breaking down some of those preconceived notions about fitness and health and worth and lovability and attraction and all those sort of things. So that's to say to my community on the internet and real life, I've talked to so many of you about this, and I continue to do it, and I'm so grateful that I've been given an audience of people who cares what I have to say and finds meaning in that as well, and is willing to continue to do the work that like I'm doing around dismantling some of these, you know, really fucked up pillars of society and societal expectations. And I'm not changing the world. Like I'm just out here knitting, raising my kids, doing what I can, but to be welcomed in with open arms and find my people, even though they're not geographically close to me, but I'm talking to you through a little camera screen, a little black handheld device probably. I'm grateful, and I am deliriously grateful for this life as much as I am open and honest about the things that are plaguing me or deeply irritating me at any given time. And so I hope that this resonates with someone. I think about that a lot. Like if the weird stuff I'm saying and the weird way I'm saying it resonates with one person and makes them feel less alone, then I think that's worth it. So that's to say, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope your coffee is hot. I hope your kids listen to you if you have them. I hope that there's no traffic on your drive. Whatever it is that you need, like may your pajamas be comfy, and may your knitting go smoothly. May you not have to frog anything. Whatever it is that you need, I hope you give it. I hope you get it. You know, I've been going to hot yoga for a long time, and they often say, like, as a closing, like, from the light in me to the light in you. So from the raging menopausal bitch in me to the raging menopausal bitch in you. Maybe. Take care and happy knitting. Thanks, everyone.